It is Thursday, February 19th, 2025, and the Trump administration confirming for the first time that their goal is to completely abolish the IRS. 100%. We've been reporting this for months. This is what we've been hearing, and last night it was confirmed. We're going to show you also a full and complete audit of U.S. gold reserves is happening, something I never thought I'd see. Trump telling reporters yesterday on Air Force One that we are going to Fort Knox and the gold better be there. And the Kash Patel confirmation vote happening today. He has the votes and he will be confirmed. And the swamp is in panic mode. Dems with the most to lose, like Adam Schiff, standing guard in front of the FBI Hoover building, promising to prevent Kash from entering. Wait till you see this. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So we've reported for months since Trump won the election that his goal is to return the U.S. to a tariff-based system from an income tax system, to return America back to its roots, which means American citizens pay no tax, no federal income tax. The United States was the only country in the world where it was illegal, unconstitutional to tax its own people, its citizens. Hear what I'm saying. Not foreigners, not foreign companies, not foreign entities, its citizens. And last night, for the first time, the Trump administration confirming this. Trump's hinted at it in public, but never have they come right out and confirmed it officially until now. Watch Harry Lutnick, Trump's Commerce Secretary, explain what the Trump administration's policy goal is, what Trump's plan is when it comes to tariffs and taxes. Watch.
And I'm telling you, you watch it, we're going to do it.
If you get savings from these DOGE cuts, are you going to give any of this back to the American people? We keep hearing about these DOGE dividends.
Well, think about it. Donald Trump announces the External Revenue Service, and his goal is very simple. His goal is to abolish the Internal Revenue Service and let all the outsiders pay. I mean, this is someone who is focused on America. Let's drive down our waste, fraud, and abuse. I'll give you an example. Cruise ships. You ever see a cruise ship with an American flag on the back? They have flags of like Liberia or Panama. None of them pay taxes. None of them pay taxes. Every super tanker, none pays taxes. Alcohol, all foreign alcohol, no taxes. This is going to end under Donald Trump, and those taxes are going to be paid, and Americans' tax rates are going to come down. That's what Donald Trump wants to do. Balance our budget and cut our taxes. I mean, imagine a Democratic senator going against that. What planet are these people?
We fought a revolution to be free, to prevent a massive government from choosing how much money they're legally, quote unquote, allowed to steal from us. For over 150 years, federal taxation was illegal in this country until Teddy Roosevelt thought it'd be a good idea to change this up, using his political influence to convince his party to push through and amend the Constitution, adding the 16th Amendment, the worst amendment of the Constitution, giving Congress the power to levy and collect income taxes. And since then, we all know what's happened. Our country has been brainwashed to think that's a good idea, allowing the federal government to decide when and how much of our money they can take, thinking that's a good idea. It's insane. Trump's goal is to fix this, reverse it, replace the Internal Revenue Service with the External Revenue Service, meaning taxing everyone else except ourselves. Watch.
America is going to be very rich again, and it's going to happen very quickly. It's time for the United States to return to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before. Do you know the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States, relatively speaking. In other words, relatively. And they set up the Great Tariff Commission of 1887, and this commission had one function: what to do with all the money that we took in. It was so enormous that they had no idea. It was a blue ribbon committee. It was set up 1887, and what to do with all of the money that we had. And again, Teddy Roosevelt was a beneficiary because when McKinley was killed, he took over this vast sum of money, and he did all of those national parks and all of the other things. And I'm not knocking him, but he was given a vast amount of money, and that was all made through tariffs. We had no income tax. The income tax came in 1913. As I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right?
In another story, President Trump telling reporters on Air Force One last night that DOJ will be auditing the U.S. gold reserve. We are going to Fort Knox, he said, and the gold better be there. This is something I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. This is one of those closely guarded secrets in Washington. Treasury and the Fed have kept a lid on this for over 50 years since Nixon took us off the gold standard, purposely keeping data on U.S. gold reserves outside public scrutiny, outside the public's purview, setting up rules at Treasury and the Fed to prevent even FOIA access. Nobody, I repeat, nobody on the outside knows the truth about our country's gold holdings. The gold market, it's been manipulated by the West, specifically by the Americans and the Brits for years. Well, Trump says, we are coming. We're coming to Fort Knox, and the gold better be there. If it's not there, we are not going to be happy. Watch.
We're going to go into Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there.
Are they going to?
You know that? We're going to go into Fort Knox. Do you know about that?
Sir,
That was a bad bump.
are they going to eliminate more national security positions, civilians there?
We'll see what happens. But one of the things we do want to look, I mean, we hope everything's fine with Fort Knox, but we're going to go to Fort Knox, the fabled Fort Knox, to make sure the gold is there.
Where would the president gone?
If the gold isn't there, we're going to be very upset.
This is a big deal, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. Just realize the last audit, quote-unquote audit, of America's gold reserve took place on September 23rd, 1974, when the Treasury agreed to open just one of its 15 vaults at Fort Knox. Really more of like this publicity stunt than an actual audit. Reporters were there, set up by Republicans who were pushing for this in the Senate for a 2-hour photo op. All that was shown or audited was 6% of the amount that we allegedly hold. This was one of the photos a reporter took from that day. This is what the public has been allowed to see. That's it. Since then, there has been no, I repeat, no independent verification of the estimated 4,600 metric tons supposedly held by the Treasury. The last time this topic was even broached, auditing the nation's gold stockpile, was in 2021, when Republican Alex Mooney introduced a bill to audit our gold holdings, including a full assay, inventory, and audit of all gold reserves. And shortly thereafter, what happened to Mooney? He died, and the bill died with him. Well, Donald Trump says this is happening. DOJ will be entering Fort Knox and doing a complete audit of our nation's gold stockpile, including a full account of gold transactions, which have been kept under lock and key for decades. The reason this is so important is because Trump's trying to fix our national debt and our budget deficit. The government right now values gold on its balance sheet as an asset at only $45 an ounce. That's it, $45 an ounce. When currently an ounce of gold is valued on the spot market at $2,900 an ounce. Think what that means. We have all this gold, 4,580 metric tons of gold supposedly sitting in Fort Knox, valued on our balance sheet at just $45 an ounce. What we're hearing is Trump's plan is to revalue our gold holdings at mark to market, or maybe even as high as $5,000, $6,000 an ounce. That means our balance sheet begins to fall in line, instantly solving our national debt crisis, or beginning to. Just start claiming the truth about our gold holdings and our balance sheet instantly begins to make more sense. Interestingly, though, after Trump and Elon said this yesterday, and this story went viral, mega viral, the Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, must have got the memo that this cannot happen. Watch what he said this morning. Let me know if you think this is odd, considering what Trump just said last night, his boss. Watch.
One thing potentially that could happen, and people are questioning it, is maybe remarking gold. Elon Musk, who's leading DOJ, was talking about maybe going to Fort Knox to make sure those gold reserves are there. That comes under your purview. Do you have any plans to visit Kentucky?
I don't have any plans. I can tell you that we do an audit every year. I can tell the American people on camera right now that there was a report September 30th, 2024. All the gold is there. Any U.S. senator who wants to come and visit it can arrange a visit through our office.
Gold was your biggest holding when you were a hedge fund manager before you divested to become the Treasury Secretary. So you know the value of where gold is right now versus where it's marked on its balance sheet, just north of $40 an ounce. It's close to $3,000. Is it under consideration for this administration to revalue gold?
I think that somehow when we were talking about the sovereign wealth fund and I said monetize the balance sheet, I can promise you that's not what I had in mind.
In another story, Kash Patel is about to be confirmed by the United States Senate, confirmed as our next FBI director. He has the votes and will be confirmed today. And the swamp losing their minds. Democrats with the most to lose once Kash gets confirmed are now protesting outside the Hoover building, promising not to let Kash enter the building. This is crazy. Adam Schiff, the man who deceived us, lied to us for years, for 8 straight years about Donald Trump, the man who was censured by the U.S. Congress, censured for weaponizing his position as the chairman of the House Intel Committee against his political enemies, has the nerve, this guy has the nerve to stand outside FBI headquarters and call Kash a political hack, saying Kash will use his position against his political enemies. What? The hypocrisy. This is called projecting, folks. Watch this.
This is someone who lacks the character to do this job, someone who lacks the integrity to do this job. We know that. Our Republican colleagues know that. The only qualification Kash Patel has to be FBI director is that when everyone else in the first Trump administration said, no, I won't do that, that crosses moral, ethical, and legal lines, Kash Patel said, sign me up. In the first Trump administration, as we are seeing in the second, you rise to the level of your sycophancy, and no one is a bigger or more dangerous sycophant than Kash Patel. This political hack does not deserve to be in this building. He can't do the job. He won't protect the public. He will misuse the resources of the Bureau. He will weaponize it against the president's political opponents rather than protecting the safety, the public safety of the American people.
You said that there was direct evidence of the fact that Donald Trump colluded with Russia back in 2016. Special counsel Robert Mueller said in his report, quote, the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government. Republicans argue that's proof that you used your position on the Intelligence Committee to intentionally mislead Americans, which is why you should not be on that committee.
If you read the Mueller report, he makes clear, even in the first few pages of the report, that he states no conclusion on whether Donald Trump and his campaign colluded with the Russians. But what he does reveal in his report, what we found in our investigation, is that Donald Trump's campaign manager was sharing internal campaign polling data and the strategy for key battleground states with an agent of Russian intelligence, while that same unit of Russian intelligence was helping the Trump campaign.
In another story, Mitch McConnell announcing he will not be seeking re-election in 2026. Good riddance. McConnell has been this massive power broker in D.C. for half a century, being a stalwart defender of the status quo, a committed and dedicated member of the swamp, fighting tooth and nail from the inside to prevent Trump's success during his first term, trying again during his second term over the last month, but realizing it is hopeless. The tide is turning. We are winning. We are taking our country back. Announcing this news on his 83rd birthday after voting no, trying to swing the Republican Senate to vote no on Trump's cabinet, calling in all his remaining chits to tank Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr.'s, and Pete Hegseth's confirmations, but failing. Finding Republicans are now more scared of Trump than they are of the old Republican guard. Mitch McConnell retiring, one of the best things he could do for this country. Retiring, by the way, with the lowest approval rating in his entire political career. Let this be a lesson. When you go up against the people, i.e. Donald Trump, this is what your future looks like. Watch.
talk a little bit about Mitch McConnell and the chance he's going to become a folk hero. It ain't going to likely happen. Ain't going to likely happen because I want you to look at his net approval ratings. He is underwater with everybody. He has got the ultimate, or some might say, sad trifecta of being underwater overall. Minus 39 points. 39 percentage points more of the electorate disapproves than approves of the jobs that he has done. How about Democrats? He's 58 points underwater. My goodness gracious, the chance that all of a sudden, just because he cast 3 votes against Trump, that he'd somehow become a folk hero with them is absolutely, frankly, insane. And then with the Republicans, of course, he's gone up against Trump before, and that's why he's 17 points underwater with Republicans. When you're underwater with Democrats, Republicans, and overall, the chance that you're going to become a folk hero, it seems rather low to me, Paula.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.